Here's an idea. Some American attitudes about food are clearly communicated by our hot sauce labels. So, since we are talking about hot sauce today, instead of the record corner, we thought it might be more appropriate to shoot this episode in my kitchen, where I keep my collection of hot sauces. And speaking of which, welcome to my actual apartment. I feel like I'm contractually obligated to ask, won't you be my neighbor? Full disclosure, I really like hot sauce. Me and my girlfriend, we have a lot of hot sauce, and there's even one that we love so much, it's called Secret Aardvark, that we buy it in bulk. No, really, we buy it in bulk. I actually own this much Secret Aardvark. They're not even paying me to say this. I've seen and tried all different kinds of hot sauces from all around the world, and I've noticed some motifs. Now, we could talk forever about the different flavors, smoky, sweet, vinegary, tomato-y, but actually, I don't want to talk about what's inside the bottles. I want to talk about what's on them, their labels. I've picked up on a couple patterns. Jamaican and other island-style hot sauce labels tend to have animals on them, like the parrot on Pick-a-Peppa or the leopard that's on the Queen Majesty label, it is bottled in Brooklyn, but it is a Jamaican-style hot sauce. I told you I was a hot sauce weirdo. Mexican and South American hot sauce labels tend to show maybe a pretty lady or their country of origin, and Asian hot sauce labels, well, actually, we're gonna talk about the crown jewel of sriracha in a little bit, after we've spoken for a second about American hot sauce labels, which are always the most interesting. So by my totally not scientific, but definitely being a little bit of a hot sauce aficionado count, American hot sauce labels seem to come in 4 varieties. The first is purely sauce business. It just talks about what's in the bottle. No claims are made, no jokes are told. It's purely descriptive and actually pretty rare. Hot sauce labels are rarely this unadorned because, I mean, come on! The second label type is found on arguably the most well-known American hot sauce, Tabasco, whose label has always looked to me like it belongs on a barrel of whiskey. The design has a tipple-tastic twinge that looks like it's been burned into the side of an oak barrel, which makes sense given that Tabasco comes from Louisiana, a state known for its hot nightlife. Label type 3 shows some dramatis persona, usually a rugged-looking customer, as is the case with Mountain Man, or a cartoon version of some animal. The dudes are tough and grizzled, like this hot sauce I have that's in the shape of a cowboy, while the animals are usually either consuming the hot sauce, holding its ingredients, or experiencing its side effects, as is the case with the alligator on the label for Bayou Butt Burner. And finally, there's the label type that acts as a warning for the pain you are about to endure. A skull and crossbones, a XXX, maybe a spice-o-meter. This one has a Fallout symbol drawn on it, and this one just cuts right to the chase and says, pain is good. Some go to really bizarre extremes and are labeled as though they are actual weaponry or as if they will literally kill you. This hot sauce came with a skull on a keyring attached to it. Now, why do I find these labels so interesting? It's because, with very few exceptions, they suggest that the hot sauce ingester must possess a certain constitution. This is American exceptionalism in a bottle. These labels indicate that one must be this tough to sauce. These cowboy-looking gentlemen imply that hot sauce, like whiskey and a tough life on the range, ain't for everybody. Just the rugged. Spittoon noise. Some labels, like my favorite, Secret Aardvark, even insinuate that the hot sauce is not intended for human consumption, that one must be a literal animal to consume hot sauce. And true hot sauce fact, in order to buy some of these for episode research, I had to sign a waiver indicating that I understood some of them are not intended for direct human consumption. You're supposed to dissolve a knife tip amount in, I don't know, 10 gallons of gumbo? There are some of these I'm never gonna open. They are just too scary.
It's called drink this and you'll die.
Basically, what I'm saying is that in order to enjoy the bomb beyond insanity, you can't just be awesome. You have to be awesome and tough. You have to be, I'm very sorry for this, hot sauceum. Heck, you might not even enjoy whatever supremely spicy hot sauce you're eating, but you will have successfully consumed it. You will have won. You will have been victorious over your meal of breakfast potatoes. Hot sauces make food exciting by turning it into a challenge. They turn mealtime into a competition, two things that Americans love. We've built a country whose theme is basically turning every possible thing into a competition, so why not also taste bud fortitude? I definitely have a weird pride in being able to eat spicier things than most people, though I will say Hot Pepper Gaming looks a little unpleasant, and Chuck from the Bronx, holy hot sauce, that guy is just on another level. Chuck, if you happen to be watching this, I don't know how you do it, man.
It's getting worse, Joe.
None of this is to say, though, that other cultures don't have spicy dishes, that America somehow has the corner on fiery mouth pain. Indian, Thai, Korean, Jamaican, they all have some supremely spicy dishes.
That ain't nice.
But the spice tends to be less of a game. In other cultures, spiciness complements companion flavors as opposed to overpowering them. Or as a friend from India said, a lot of everything is kind of the theme for American food. Our cuisine isn't exactly known for its variety or subtlety of flavor. And case in point, on the Frank's Red Hot label is the slogan, "I put that splat on everything." Sometimes food is just a capsaicin delivery mechanism. Which brings us, finally, and in conclusion, to sriracha, which Molly and I love so much that we actually have a framed watercolor of it in our stairwell. And for anybody who's writing a lol hipster comment, let me stop you so that I can point out my steer horns, fixed gear bicycle, and collection of hot sauces. The degree of my hipstertude was not in question. So, sriracha refers to a variety of hot sauces in Thailand, but in the United States, it almost always refers to sriracha rooster sauce, made by Hoi Fong Foods in California. True to its Thai roots, its label is simple, artful, it has a rooster on it, it makes no claims about pain, insanity, or butts, though by many accounts it has complete license to. Like Mr. Matthew the Oatmeal Inman wrote a comic love letter to the tasty firestorm that is sriracha, and I think that might be why it is so popular. I mean, yes, it does taste good, and it did become a little bit of a cult thing that maybe got a little overblown, perhaps because of Mr. the Oatmeal, but I do think its spiciness, the fact that it's in the spiciest neighborhood, a widely available hot sauce dare venture, more so than Tabasco and Frank's at least, is what made it such a phenomenon. Whatever you put sriracha on is gonna end up tasting like sriracha. Garlic, chilies, vinegar, yeah, but also maybe a little bit of excitement. Or a challenge, and depending upon your taste bud toughness, a dash of danger. Though you would never know it from the label. What do you guys think? Do hot sauce labels indicate something about American attitudes towards food? Or are there labels that indicate things about your culture's attitude towards food? Let us know in the comments, and I'll meet you for the next part of the episode over in the record corner. It's been a while, let's see what you guys had to say about popularity. Remember that episode that we did a while ago? Popularity. So first things first, a couple items of business. You guys want to hang out with me, which is very flattering and cool. So we hinted that we might be doing a like office hours kind of thing, and I think that's a thing we're gonna do. I still gotta figure out when, probably sometime within the next couple months, so keep an eye out here, probably on Twitter and also Facebook. And yeah, we'll go to a place together and talk about fun things. Also, hey, I started a podcast. It's called Reasonably Sound, and you can find it on iTunes and at infiniteguest.org. It's about sound stuff and theory and science, just all related to audio. So yeah, if you need more podcasts to listen to, which who doesn't, I have one of those. So from the subreddit, StringEpsilon seizes on one of the problems with the popularity episode, which is that, you know, depending upon how you view things, everything has the potential of being popular culture, and so then what is popular culture? And ManicProlix kind of does this really great summary of kind of what I think the point I was trying to get at was, which is that it's not the what, it's the how. And so when popular culture becomes, right, an activity and not a thing, then everything has the potential of being interacted with in a popular culture way, which I think, the more I think about it, just sounds right to me. I don't know. But these were great comments, you should check them out. Heather Feather, thank you so much for writing a comment and for making awesome videos. If anybody likes ASMR stuffs, Heather makes awesome videos. We'll put a link to her channel in the doobly-doo. CatOwlFilms brings up the really good point of the importance of time when talking about popularity. And this is actually related to a point that me and Idea Channel's producer Andrew talk about all the time, which is that time is kind of the best filter for popularity, and that it kind of can sometimes make things seem more popular than they were in their time. You know, the one that I always go to is Led Zeppelin, right? They never had a #1 hit, but we think of them as this massively important band, and they are, but their popularity has so much to do with the time that has passed between when they were, active and now. So, yeah, good point. missvbbeast writes a self-described mini Idea Channel episode and asks whether or not something can be so popular that it is not popular culture, and makes the case that Disney, in fact, is not so much popular culture as it is just part of who we are, that it has become so popular, it has kind of transcended this designation. This is a really interesting and I think great question to ask. Link to this comment and all the others in the doobly-doo. Frank Cortese makes a really salient point that comparing viewership numbers across platforms can be a maybe irresponsible thing to do because that viewership is measured in totally different ways. And so comparing them, right, it's like apples and oranges, even though it's viewership numbers. And yeah, I mean, I think this is maybe even one of the biggest features of the changing face of popularity, that we can always kind of find a metric to make something look popular, but then we want to compare the two and say this thing is more or less popular than this other thing. It gets very complicated very quickly. To mindvise, this might just be me being very cynical, but the older I get, the less I feel like it's possible for a true counter or subculture to exist. It seems to me that every counter or subculture that I've seen or been involved in has eventually become a feature of popular culture, like just through and through. I mean, I did just turn 30, maybe that has something to do with it. And also, I mean, now that I'm saying it, maybe maybe they're not meant to last. Maybe that's the point. But God, that's depressing, right? I don't know, I gotta think about this more. This week's episode was brought to you by the hard work of these saucy individuals. We have a Facebook and IRC and a subreddit, links in the doobly-doo, and the tweet of the week comes from Nina Casey, who points us towards a hyper-allergic post. Man, I love hyper-allergic, about turning the warriors depicted on ancient Greek pottery into animated gifs. It is delightful.